Morning, class. Welcome. I'm glad everybody came in and sanitized their tables. You've tied back your hair if you have long hair. You're wearing your apron. Everybody's got their hands clean. They're stationed, ready to go. We're making our chocolate almond torte today, and I hope everybody had a chance to go over their recipe, their class production planner last night. But I'm going to give you a demo right now and run through of everything that you're going to need to do this recipe. Some skills that we're going to be doing in this recipe that we haven't done before is separating eggs. So I'm going to show you first off how we're going to separate eggs. Something else we're going to be doing is practicing folding in. So let's get started. So the first step before our recipe, preheating the oven, 350 degrees. We want also to get our spring-form pan ready to go. We've lined that with parchment paper. Got our mise en place. I've got my chocolate. I've got my butter all laid out. I have got the sugar. It says in the recipe 1 cup of sugar, but we need to divide that into 2 half cups. I have got my almond flour. Everything's all weighed. I have salt. We use a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, so that is a pinch. I've got my salt bowl. Okay, melting the chocolate and the chocolate chips together. So I'm just going to pour these chocolate chips. You can use chopped dark chocolate. You can use Kellett's, but in class we are using chocolate chips because that is what we have. Now, as I said yesterday, the tipping point in this recipe is the chocolate will burn if you set it too high too quickly. We are going to microwave it on high but 30-second increments. You're going to stir it between. You're going to use your spatula, stirring, cleaning the sides of the bowl, making sure the heat is evenly distributed. So I'm still seeing a little bit lumpy with the chocolate chips here. So I'm just going to keep stirring that because the butter is on the hot side. I don't want to put this back in the microwave because I do believe this will be melted by the time we need to use it. So I would say that chocolate mixture is just about done. You can see there, it's really like a chocolate sauce. It's quite liquefied. We've really got that chocolate melting. I'm gonna put that aside for right now. Okay, in our next step in the recipe, we are doing separating the eggs. So, okay, when we are separating the eggs, we're going to have our separate bowl for our yolks. We're using the large bowl, and for our egg whites, we're using the small bowl. Now, we have an extra bowl in the center that we're just going to be using to separate those eggs. So, crack the egg. You want 2 halves of the shell so that you can kind of pour the yolk back and forth, and the egg white is going to fall off into the bowl. Okay? Perfect. And we've got a bowl of waste for our eggshells. Now, that's the white here. There is no yolk in there. I'm going to pour that into my bowl. Okay. Perfect. Good. Get rid of the shell. Pour the egg whites out. Excellent. When you use that secondary bowl for doing the back and forth, you're going to do much better. Now, for this egg, I had a problem. Just a tiny bit of shell broke off on the top. I am going to use my hand now. So I will use my hand as a replacement for that egg shell. Not ideal, but you can do this if that is what happens. So there, I've got the yolk in one hand, I've got the white in the other. Let's get rid of that. One last egg here. Hopefully that works nicely. All right, perfect. Here we go. So I've got 4 eggs beautifully separated. I've got my egg yolks. I am going to add my 1/4 of a cup sugar to the egg yolks here. And using a whisk. Whisk the egg yolks and the sugar for about a minute until that becomes a really nice kind of golden yellow consistency. The sugar gets emulsified into the egg yolk. And it's going to lighten up in color. So this does take a little bit of elbow grease, kids. Now, I'm going to show you that. It's lightened up a fair amount. You can see the sugar is very much incorporated into the egg yolks. The next step, as we are going through our production planner, I'm checking off with my Sharpie so we don't do the same thing twice, is stir in the chocolate mixture and the almond flour and the salt. So, I'm going to get rid of my whisk. I don't need that anymore. My chocolate mixture now, yes, it is beautiful, nice and melted. I don't see any lumps of chocolate chips in there. It's really nice and smooth at this point. So I'm going to stir that in, just kind of pour that in. And this is hot. It has had a few minutes to cool down, but we do not really want to cook the eggs. So you want to make sure that that is not super hot when you're pouring it in. Okay? So there, and we are going to use our rubber spatula to make sure we get all of that chocolate and butter out of the bowl and into our egg mixture. So the chocolate, got the almond flour here. Almond flour is really just ground almonds. So if you don't have almond flour, you don't have access to it, you can just grind up almonds in a coffee grinder. Okay, now this is starting to look more like a cake, folks. Now the salt, 1/4 teaspoon. I am going to show you what a pinch looks like. Here is a pinch of salt. That's what I'm going to put in. That's my 1/4 teaspoon. Okay, and I'm going to use my rubber spatula to just stir this nicely. Get it all nice and blended together. We're starting from here. Get that nice and incorporated. You want to be scraping off the sides to make sure that there's no parts that are not getting mixed in there. Okay, and as you can see, we've got a nice uniform mixture here. So I'm going to put this aside now. And our next step, we are going to use our hand mixer. Making sure that that is in the off position. We're going to use our hand mixer. We are going to whip this. This is called making a meringue. We are going to start to whip that up a little bit. Kind of breaking all the egg solids up. I'm going to pour my mixture of sugar, my 1/4 cup of sugar into the eggs. And we are going to whip this, beat this with the beater until we have peaks forming. And I will show you what that means exactly. Now, we are about halfway there, and you can see how it is becoming much more thick. Hey, I can tell that it is done. You can see there that there are peaks formed now that I've pulled the beater out. So our next step is clean up our area here a little bit. Our next step is folding the egg white meringue. Okay, and this is the same what you'd see in a lemon meringue pie. We're going to fold this into the chocolate mixture. So I've got my chocolate very nicely mixed here. And our directions are to fold in 1/3 of the egg mixture. So we're going to use another rubber spatula and take about 1/3. It doesn't have to be measured out exactly. You're going to use your eyes and your professional judgment on this. Okay. So you can see my bowl there. We can see that we've got the egg whites. Folding in, we are just going to gently fold the chocolate over the egg white. We want to incorporate all that nice air. We want to be very gentle with this, and folding is a gentle act rather than mixing or stirring, because we want to keep all that nice air that we incorporated into the egg whites into the cake, because again, that provides that lightness that we're looking for. Otherwise, we're going to have like a heavy, dark German chocolate cake where it's very dense compared to something a little bit more airy when the air pockets are cooked into it. Okay, so that is fairly incorporated. Now I'm going to do another third into my chocolate mixture. Okay, and again, doesn't have to be perfect. I'm eyeballing about a third. And boy, oh boy, does this smell delicious. Okay, so again, folding in just very gently, coming up on the sides, folding it over and folding it over, folding it over, just gentle. And this is a delicate way that you're going to be using for a lot of different pastry recipes. Great skill for you to be learning now. And you can see this chocolate mixture is really lightening up with the addition of the eggs and that extra sugar. It is becoming more like a batter and less like a molten chocolate. Although the end product is going to be more of a molten chocolate. Right now, this is just looking like a really nice light cake batter. Put that last third of egg in. And again, we want to use our spatula, our rubber spatula, to scrape the bowl, because again, we've weighed out our measurement, our ingredients. We want to make sure we get all of that measured out, or scooped out into the secondary bowl. We don't want to have any waste. Okay? So this is my last third that I'm folding in. Now, I know it's hot in the kitchen, kids. We don't have AC in the school. If you get into a professional kitchen, you're going to have to get used to that, because the conditions can get pretty warm sometimes when you've got so many ovens and so many elements running at the same time. It is very hard to keep a kitchen very nice and air conditioned. So this is just absolutely beautiful. Folding it in, I'm scraping up the sides, just being very gentle with it. I would say that we have mixed that together beautifully. All right, we can see the result here. We are ready to go. I take my parchment paper lined pan here. Okay, and it might not be perfectly sitting in there, but as you pour your batter in, it's going to press that parchment paper into position. That again, we don't want to be aggressive with it. We've taken a long time to get all of the air nice and incorporated. I'm just going to be very gentle with it. Scraping the sides with your rubber spatula so we get all of that beautiful batter into our cake pan. To go. The oven, we turn to 350. Should be nice and preheated at this point. I've got my cake in the pan here. It's all ready to go. I am going to place this in the oven. We are going to set our kitchen timer for 35 minutes. The recipe calls 35 to 40 minutes. We are going to check it at 35 minutes, and with our toothpick, inserting it into the top, it should be coming out with crumble stuff.